Dave is wondering, do lions normally stay in open areas? Well, Dave, it all depends on where you are in Africa. And being in the Masai Mara, it is very open, so they don't have much of a choice. But the lions are able to adapt to different ecosystems. They can live pretty much everywhere except in the driest of the dry deserts and the wettest of the wet rainforest. But they do prefer sort of savanna is their sort of favorite biome, so that is open grass and mixed trees, which in the Mara is pretty much spot on prime lion habitat. And just in the triangle there's probably we were trying to do the numbers of how many lions were in the Mara Triangle alone, and I would say there are probably over 100 lions just in the triangle, not in even the whole National Reserve and the conservancies. Now Rakesh is asking, do lions climb trees here? They do indeed. We often find this particular pride up a tree. I've found 7 of them up a tree once. Well, 2 adults and the rest were cubs, and the reason for that is that there's a slightly stronger wind if you get a little bit higher, and they get up there to try avoid the nasty stable flies that are biting her ears, her tails and her soft bits. Now she's looking across, and I can see, I think there's another lion sighting not too far from us. I'm wondering if it's one of the big boys that dominate this area, so we are going to go have a look there a little later, and we might pop past her, but I think she's not going to get moving just yet. Hopefully she proves me wrong. That would be very, very wonderful. But as I say that, she closes her eyes. As I said, I don't think she's going to move, but prove me wrong. And you might hear some thunder in the background, and as what happens, there we go, she heard the thunder. Now that could aid her in hunting. That is great hunting weather for lions. Thunder and lightning and rain and wind, it helps camouflage the sound of them approaching, and also the wind keeps the animals edgy and jumpy, and they're not quite sure where the smells and sounds are coming from. Now we're hoping that this big storm stays away for the rest of the safari. We will give you a view of it a little later, but we're going to do some more driving, see if any more lions about, and while we do that, let's go to Ali, who's also practicing her driving.
How exciting to see all those new lions. We have found something equally as fierce as a lion, as a young bull elephant. Obviously, as soon as we arrived, somebody came running through the bushes and splaying his ears and making all sorts of noises, but I think he's realized now that we are not really going to be scared off that easily. So he's calmed down and he's happily eating away. I think there's quite a big herd around us, although we can pretty much see this youngster over here and just another one at the back. They were making quite a bit of noise earlier, so I wonder if also perhaps there's a bigger bull, much bigger than this little one that we're looking at, that's giving the females a bit of trouble. Because when they start screaming that way, it's normally because there's something that's really annoyed them. Now you see he's got a bit of a leak on his temporal glands, and so does the mother. So I wonder, hello, you're looking quite nice now. Look at all those wrinkles on his forehead. Maybe this is one of those worried youngsters that's constantly thinking about something. He's doing one of the things that I love about Ellie. So if you just have a close look at his feet and his trunk, so he starts using both the feet and the trunk to be able to get the grass out, because sometimes he can't push it out, poof, and then you see he just created some tension and then went and kicked the grass very quickly with his foot, and then that's the way that they managed to pull it out. And it's a trick that they learn from their mothers, and they start doing it from very early on. However, they need to first dominate the skills with their trunk and know how to use their trunk properly before they can attempt on doing any of these things. The other kids at your school, just think how much bigger, whatever it is that he looks on the screen, they would probably only be about up to the shoulder, or yes, the elbow of the elephant. That's maybe just how big it could be. Fortunately, I'm not going to go out and show you how big he is compared to me, because although he's younger than me, he is a lot stronger than me. I'm hoping that he will want to come and have a bit more water. So while I wait for him to do that, why don't we go over to Taylor, who's got something exciting to show to us.
I don't know about exciting to show you. Maybe we'll see some elephants, because there seem to be a whole lot of tracks and bits of leaves and grass all in the road, so I'm waiting to bump into them. I do have a story to tell you though. I remember I had to change a tire and I didn't get to tell you an opportunity as to what exactly happened, but we were just bumbling about, and the next minute the entire now I've forgotten what do you call it, Sebastian? I've forgotten the word that I'm looking for, like the nozzle?
For what, sorry?
Where the valve. Couldn't remember valve now, of course I couldn't. Basically the valve pushed back and into the tire, so I don't know if it was maybe a little stump on the side of the road that as we went next to it clipped it and pushed it back in. So it wasn't from a thorn or anything like that. And then, well, I had an argument and a big fight with the high lift jack, as most people do when they use a high lift jack, because the car nearly fell off of it about 3 times, even though we had rocks and large logs packed under all the tires. Car was in low range and in reverse, but we weren't winning. So it was quite entertaining. We got filthy, so I don't even want you to look at my hands. It looks like I've been working in a workshop for the last 4 days without any water. But what we're doing now is we're actually starting to make our way back to camp. We just need to fetch an Allen key. Just the camera is becoming a little bit loose. But we're still quite far away. Now, another thing that I wanted to chat to all of you about, hello Impala, actually we can have a look at Impala while I talk to you about this, because this is so pretty in this gorgeous light, is, remember earlier we were doing the school drive and we'd stopped at Vuyatela Dam and we had a look, and I pointed out to you that there was a what is wrong with me? A hardy-da ibis. I went completely blank as to what I was looking at. So the hardy-da ibis was wading through the water, which is something that I've never seen before. And like I said, the cousin, the African sacred ibis, is known to do this. They spend a lot of time in the water. And I'd sort of proposed the question to all of you about if any of you had seen this behavior before. So, Chantal, has anybody seen something like this before? Perhaps those of you who watch the dam cam quite often, maybe you would have seen something, but I thought it was quite interesting, of course, to see this behavior. Now, I don't know if Chantal heard me. Oh, there we go. No. Okay. So Jennifer, you've said that you've never seen that before, and it is very unusual. I can't ever recall, and I've seen many hardy ibis in my life. I mean, they're one of the most common birds in South Africa, and especially around the cities. I mean, in Johannesburg they call them Sandton fish eagles. Sandton is a sort of very posh suburb, if you will, so it's a little joke around South Africa. A beautiful ram, actually, just crossing through that grass. So I thought that was really interesting. So if you did manage to take a few screenshots, please could you share them with me, because I'd like to show a couple of my friends and see if they've ever seen something like that. So hashtag Safari Live, you can tag me in it if you'd like, otherwise I'll search for it a little bit later, but it would be really, really great to see that. Hello boy, you're gorgeous, aren't you? Now, Aaron, you've apparently seen it in Botswana on the dam cam. I think that's incredible. Okay, that's really interesting. So it's not like they haven't done it before. So I'm going to do a little bit of research about it and see how common this behavior actually is. Because I've spent so much time, of course, at dams, watching them. I mean, I've seen African sacred ibis, and actually, no, their cousin, the glossy ibis, wading through sort of marshlands. Not quite water like that one was. I mean, it wasn't like it was just on the edge of the water either. It had taken a good few steps and gone right into the middle. But interesting nonetheless. Now, the impala, they were standing in the lovely golden light, and then they very rudely stepped out of it. And that's just because they're just moving around, feeding about. But these are a group of lovely boys, aren't they? Beautiful big horns, looking very, very healthy. Right, let's carry on. I'm still going to follow these elephant tracks that we've got just going along here. I think we might get lucky and catch up to them. Maybe they were at Chele Pan a little bit earlier, or maybe they're there now, who knows. Excuse me, Impala, coming through. Anybody got an Allen key? Do you think we could use one of the tips of their horns? What do you think, Sebastian? Would that work? No? It would be a bit tricky, and well, the tricky part would actually be to get an impala to agree to the whole situation, wouldn't it? Okay, we won't ask the impala then. We're not far from camp now. Like I said, we're just about to pop out on Twin Dams Road, so we're just coming up to Chele Pan. We'll have a quick look around here and see if we can see any elephants. Now, I've lost their tracks. I just had them. They looked like they were curving around and along the road, but they've now disappeared, so they must have cut through, going straight around on that block. I'm not sure where Ali is and where she had those elephants. Chantal, do you know the road name that Ali was on? That will give us a bit idea. Oh, because it could actually be... it might be the same group of elephants, but what I have just seen is the tallest animal in Africa. Hello, giraffe. I'm going to show it to you now. It's hiding directly behind these bushes, and I want to try and do silhouette here. So let's go off the road just slightly. No, giraffe. Now you have to go into the open, please. But there he is. Don't run away from us. He's got... You are going to have to take my word for it that there once was a giraffe walking behind those trees. He has now disappeared behind a wall of guarri trees. There we go. You can just see a very faint silhouette moving through. That is not the wind blowing a branch. It's not a trunk of a tree. It is a big male giraffe. But he's hiding from us now. What has startled all those birds? You hear that? Those are some very, very unhappy birds. Perhaps let's go down Pangolin Track and see. Now, it does sound like it's in the block between Twin Dams and Pangolin Track and Weaver's Nest. And that's sort of the direction that I thought maybe the elephants were going in. So maybe it was the elephants that have startled those birds. It sounded like it could have been maybe water thickneys. No, maybe not water thickneys. Maybe crowned lapwings. A couple of birds were very unhappy. But definitely ground-dwelling birds, though, ones that live on the floor for most of the time. We're going to keep on driving. We're going to shoot past camp very quickly, and then we're going to carry on. I'm going to send you all the way to Kenya with Brent and his beautiful lion.
Welcome back to the magical Mara, and we haven't travelled far, and we are again yet with more lions. It looks like a mating pair of lions, and it's one of the 4 big boys that dominate this area below Angama. So very, very exciting that he's making more babies, and they've just had 3 new cubs. So hopefully in a couple of months we're going to be inundated with cubs that are going to be engorged on wildebeest. So it's a good time at the moment to have cubs around, because there's a massive food source on its way, and these male lions here are absolutely gorgeous. Their manes are massive. Remember, hashtag Safari Live if you've got any questions for us here in the marvelous Mara. And of course, as we know with mating lions, they tend to mate about once every 15 minutes. So a bit of patience is in order, and we might see the next generation in the making. Now I wonder where the rest of the coalition are. They're quite often not too far away when a male is mating, because the fascinating thing about male lion coalitions is that there's a constantly sort of a changing dynamic, whoever's in charge. So the biggest, strongest male might be in charge at the moment, and that's probably this guy because he's mating first. And but once he's hungry and he hasn't eaten for a few days, and one of his coalition members wanders around with a big fat belly, well rested and ready to fight, he'll fight him off and take over the mating rights. Now it is possible, I've chatted to some lion researchers and that a litter of cubs can have multiple fathers. So it is quite fascinating, and that lions penis is so specially designed and shaped for one of those particular things. So it's barbed and hooked to try and make sure that the male mating impregnates the female, but then the next male, that barb or hook works to pull his semen out to try and make sure he can jump the gun and get his genetics. Well, jump the gun literally, well, if you were a lion, all of 2 seconds. They are quite good at jumping the gun. Rakesh would like to know, how many cubs does a lion give birth to at once? Now, Rakesh, in the wild, it depends. It also depends on areas. Up to about 4 is considered normal, but it's normally 2 or 1 to 3 around there. But up to 4 is considered normal. But the largest ever litter recorded in the wild was recorded in Kenya, in Nairobi National Park, and there were 8 cubs born to a single lioness. So, but that is very unusual. Up to 4 is normal. Anything over 4 is abnormal. And as you can see, I talked about the thunder and lightning just now. We spend a lot of our days here in the Mara dodging rain at this time of the year. So hopefully it stays away for the duration of the sunset safari. But there's literally a wall of water on its way, with thunder and lightning and everything frightening. Fortunately for us, only Dave's scared of thunder and lightning. Shame, Davey. I'm not. I quite enjoy it. I love a good African thunderstorm. Hello, Carter, who's 12 years old. Welcome on the safari, Carter. Carter is wondering, are there tornadoes in the Mara? Well, I suppose not really. No, not to the same degree as you get in the States. We do get dust devils, but towards October, which is basically a baby tornado, and it is not quite nearly as scary, and it's not going to rip your roof off. Now, very occasionally, maybe once every 50 or 60 years in parts of Africa, we do experience tornadoes. There was one in South Africa not so long ago in the Free State, and you generally need these big open grasslands to produce tornadoes, so there is always a possibility a tornado could happen in the Mara, but it's highly unlikely. And also with the weather cycles we have here, and the fact that it is very, very temperate and it stays pretty much the same for the whole year, it's unlikely that we're going to have to experience a massive tornado. Then I would be quite frightened. Thunder and lightning, not so much, but tornadoes, I have a definite healthy respect for. And I've never even seen one. Come on, lazy kitties. Ooh, there's the thunder. Now, one of the funniest and most wonderful things we do here is take, of course, questions from all of you, and we get some incredibly interesting handles from time to time. So I like you. Nobody likes me. I like you for asking a question. So nobody likes me would like to know where the lions stick together. Generally they do. Now it all depends again on prey availability as well, how much lions stick together. So in the Mara it's not uncommon for a pride to split up and they can find enough food on their own, but generally in a place like Kruger where Taylor and Ali are driving around, the prides tend to stick together far more, and that's because they're often tackling bigger prey like buffalo. I've noticed here the females rarely tackle a buffalo. The males do, and the females will only sometimes do when the males are around. And we actually watched the whole Ngama pride get chased by one buffalo by himself, and they chased them through a lugger. So it all depends, and one must remember that a lot of animal behavior, it can be area specific rather than species specific. So a lion that lives in Kenya will have a different way of behaving to a lion that lives in South Africa, a lion that lives in Ethiopia, a lion that lives in the Congo. And that's one of the most fascinating things about what we do, is that, and also all that behavior can change depending on weather and all those type of things. Okay, I think we might get some action, are we, ladies? Ladies? Is he going to sleep again? Oh, no, there's a yawn. Let's just see what plays out here. Oh, there we go. A bit of flirting. Oh, yes, there's the flirting. There we go. See how she presents herself? Okay, I'm going to keep quiet now. Isn't that incredible? Listen to those sounds. Wow, he's got staying power. No, he doesn't. And no, he's What's going on here? I think he's confused. I think he might have missed. Now that does happen quite often, strangely enough, with lions. Well, just judging from that mating behavior, it's probably quite far into the mating. They've been mating for a few days already, and you can see she's not too impressed, he's not too impressed, and they are looking a little bit peckish, so maybe they'll go on the hunt this evening. So they've probably been mating for 3 or 4 days already, and you can see what I'm talking about, these Masai Mara males. They are absolutely magnificent. And oh, it's Halftail. I know who it is. It's Halftail. Hi, Halftail. You stud muffin, you. So Halftail is part of the coalition, and you can notice he's got that missing tip to his tail, so that makes him one of the easier male lions to identify, and we're still figuring it out, what's going on. So there we go. That's nice to know, Mr. Halftail. Now he's one of the males we did see on that buffalo carcass a few days ago. So we have seen him before, and as I say, he's part of a 4-lion coalition that dominate the top end of the triangle here around the Smucky Swamp all the way through to the Mara River. Oh, beautiful boy. I'd love to know how he lost his tail. I think it was hyenas. Probably when he was a young nomad setting out in the world trying to find his way in liondom, and he probably had an altercation with hyenas who nipped off the end of his tail. Rishikesh is wondering how many months does it take for that lioness to give birth, so what her gestation period is. It's between 90 and 110 days, so just over 3 months for her to give birth. But quite often a lot of the copulations are not successful, so they don't always become pregnant when they mate, and sometimes it takes quite a few different matings or estrous cycles and males to produce the cubs. Oh, guys, there's a warthog coming up obliviously to the lions. The lions haven't seen it yet. I've just managed to spot it because I'm up high. You see it, Darby?
Not sure.
Okay, so there's a little green. Okay, let's zoom in to the right. A little bit more to the right. Just stop there and just see if he's just behind the grass. Okay, a little bit to the left. Center frame. Oh, zoom a little bit to the right. There we go. Now, it looked like that warthog might inadvertently walk right up to the lions. And the Ngama lions and in this area, the lions in the green season, in the wet season now, most of their diet is made up of warthog. Oh, don't walk that way, walk this way. Come this way, waterpig. Now, this warthog's making its way back towards its burrow at this time of the evening, I'm quite sure. So, it looks, it doesn't look too perturbed, just carrying on, being a waterpig, doing waterpig things. No, just come closer to us. There he is. He's moved a little bit closer to us. And you will see there are other game drive vehicles out and about enjoying the Mara today as well. Now the lions haven't noticed it, but it looks like the warthog is quite well aware that something fishing's about. The wind is blowing straight from the lions to the warthog, so maybe it's got a whiff of those lions. And I think the warthog will be okay. There's a bit of short grass in between, but you never know. That's the magical thing about being live in the middle of the African bush. We cannot predict what's going to happen next. Well, we can try, but generally when we do, nature likes to turn around and give us a good kick in the behind to teach us to watch, listen, and learn. Now it's still coming closer. See, the warthog's got onto a bit of a mound there. Oh no, he went down his hole. His hole was right there. He's gone down the hole. Our beard said it was a volunteering lion snack. Well, it volunteered itself safely into its home. Yeah, but it's turned around. All the lines are up. Let me just duck down into my turret so Dave can swing over. Oh, she's laying down in the long grass.
Oh dear.
Oh, in the long grass. Yes. Now it looks like they want some privacy, so we're going to give it to them. We're going to start slowly making our way back towards camp because we don't want to be caught in the rain. So while we do that, Ali has got one of the most adorable creatures in the African bush.
They are definitely some of the cutest things in the African bush. I think maybe it's because they're so big that it's so endearing when they act this way. Now we've got a youngster standing next to the mother, and I think he's trying to reach just as far as she is in terms of bringing down the branches of the tree. So she started pulling them down, and then all of a sudden it came right next to her, and it's been trying to imitate everything that it's been doing. Look at that. The trunk is going up, trying to get as many leaves inside, but I think it doesn't quite get what the mom's doing, because she's definitely got a bigger branch around. Very sweet. Well, in due time, little one, you'll be big and grand one day. Well, we've been sitting around here, guys. I just want to show you. Hopefully they'll play with us, but there are two young bulls that keep coming in and out of our field of view. So if you see that big mass moving next to the marula tree, there we go. We've had these two young bulls pushing each other back and forth for quite a while now. I hope that they'll carry on coming this way, because it's quite funny seeing them fight, because, you know, the one will win and then they'll go all the way to the right, and then the other one will start pushing and then they'll go all the way to the left, and they've been doing this for the last maybe 10 minutes or so. So it's been quite funny seeing them moving all around. They keep pushing each other. So these two in the distance that we're seeing, those are two males that are pushing each other back and forth. And they're doing it so, you know, to get a bit of competition going, to find out who's the dominant one, and just pretty much start learning all the skills from when they have to do this later on in life, when they're bigger, more dominant creatures. So I think it has been quite funny, because every now and again, out of the corner of our eye, we'll just see a big, you know, cloud of dust, and then, you know, all of a sudden some elephants moving around, and then a little while later the cloud of dust and some elephants moving on to the other side. But I think they're just enjoying playing where there is a bit too much greenery. I think they want to fight, but they don't want the world to know that they've been fighting for the dominance and to know who is the biggest one of them all. Still, they're a bit small, but I don't think there's a chance with the bigger one. I do however, come to quite enjoy the presence of this other female. She's been feeding quite slowly around us with the younger next to her. I think this one is probably the smallest one of the youngsters we see around here. And they've just been taking it easy. They've been feeding on a particular tree for about maybe 10-15 minutes, and then they move on to the next one, and then they carry on. So they've been moving all around. Are you cheating? I think for a moment there he was biting the tree directly from the branches instead of using his trunk to put everything inside. Look at that tongue. Oh, that's wonderful. So now that he's got it up there, you can see just how much the lips actually cover the tongue, and that is to protect the tongue that is quite sensitive from all the potential thorns and spines that the branches of the trees that he's eating have. So it's almost like they have the function of completely pulling themselves over the tongue so that the tongue gets protected and nothing bad happens to it. I think that was a fantastic shot of the little elephant tongue and the lips. What you doing? I think maybe he's just hiding away. So you see the youngster is on the far right, and then the mother is the one that we can see on the left hand side, and she is busy feeding now on another bush willow. And we've just got here a good old friend that he was eyeing us early. Alright, from Texas, you'd like to know when a young male becomes a bull, and that is probably when they become independent, when they are not following the herd around. Takes them about maybe 12-15 years or so to become fully independent and just carry on with their lives by themselves. The wonderful thing about elephants is that they will still remember their mothers and sisters and cousins. So even if they're not together all the time, if they were to come across old family or herd members, they would still remember each other and greet each other and, you know, pretty much say hello. But chances are that this youngster will be moving away quite at a distance from where he's actually from. So sometimes you'll see in Kruger Park they put collars on elephants just to try and find out where they go. Oh, I think somebody else has joined the party. Ooh, are you gonna try and get some of the branches of the marula? That would be quite cool if you did. I think the drongo might have heard and he flew away. But no. We are right next to a waterhole, so I'm really hoping that they're also going to come down for a drink. It seems like that's where she's heading. We'll find out in the next minute or two, wherever she decides to go. So if she goes to her left, we have a good chance. If not, oh no. Maybe she's not really that thirsty anymore. So you see this young bull that we've got in front of us, his mother is not the one that's coming there. Adele, you'd like to know if I've ever seen any elephant or young elephants born with trunk deformities. I haven't, actually. I have just seen a very young elephant missing about half of its trunk, and I felt quite sorry for it because it's a bit harder if you are missing your hands. But I haven't really seen them being born with many deformities. I think the rarest genetic condition that I may have seen an elephant being born with is to be, you know, partially leucistic. So where they are, they don't have as much melanin in their system. And they're a bit of a lighter coloration, especially around their eyes where they're blue, or maybe when they don't have tusks. Because tusks is also a genetic thing. So sometimes not. Oh, seems like somebody's gone down for a drink. Yes! Really hoping that they would come down and have a bit of a drink. Maybe that water was not too fresh. So sometimes they'll do this. They'll just grab some water and then just flick it all over to try and get to the good stuff that's sitting at the bottom. That's the fresh thing that they like. Hello. That one wasn't to your taste either, hey? I think maybe he's playing a little bit. Maybe he doesn't like the taste of the water because he's... Okay. He drinks a little and then it's like, enough. Oof. And then he throws it back onto the water. And now the second younger boy was also around here. Hopefully he'll go down too. Nelly, you'd like to know what the length of a full-grown elephant is. So from the tip of the head to the bottom, I would say the biggest elephant I have seen was probably around 2.5 meters or so, but in terms of height they can be about 3 to 3.5 meters tall. So these guys have very big shoes to still fill in. They're still quite small. I mean, I'm still taller than them, although not by much, and they're only a few years old, and I'm probably about 3 times their age, if not more. But let's not get into my age. Let's just rather focus on the tiny little pretty things that we're looking at. Are you gonna go down? Somebody nearly overstepped. Adrian, you're wondering if they have any other species that they're really good friends with. I would have to say no. I haven't seen elephants willingly socialize with any other species of animal. They are the biggest ones around, and especially around water they tend to bully everyone. Sometimes we'll see them chasing impala or birds or pretty much anything around. So I don't think they particularly like sharing their space, and a lot of the times the youngsters, they live in herds with other youngsters, and they'll have their sisters or their brothers or their cousins to play with, so they don't really need the company of anybody else. I think we've got the second little one charging into the water. Declare, you'd like to know how the elephants breathe the water in through their trunks without getting it all the way into their lungs. So at the tip of the trunk, they have a special cavity that closes when they start sucking up the water to precisely prevent the water from going where it's not supposed to. So as they start sucking in the water, then the top part closes up, and then once it gets full, then that's when they put the water into their mouth. It sits quite high up in the trunk of the elephant because, as you can imagine, they need to fill up with a lot of water, sometimes maybe 10-15 liters of water at a time when they're fully grown. Oh, these guys are being fantastic, just feeding all around us and drinking. Rushikesh, I believe you're wondering if the elephant mom is pregnant. The ones that I can see around here, no. They don't seem to be pregnant whatsoever. That's just the way they look normally. So their digestive system produces a lot of gas because they're what's called a hindgut fermenter. So in order to digest some of their food, there's a process of fermentation inside of their stomach, and fermentation, just to be able to extract the nutrients, produces a lot of gas, like I said before. So a lot of flatulence we enjoy normally coming from an elephant, and that's why, for example, elephants, rhinos and zebras, they've got very big round bellies in general. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're pregnant or fat, it's just the way that their system works. But no, I don't think she is. The herd that we saw this morning, there was one that was looking very, very round, and we believe that that particular one was pregnant, but the ones that we've seen around here, I don't think they are. I wonder if this little one over here was one of the ones that was fighting earlier on, because I see they've calmed down and there doesn't seem to be too much commotion going on. Beautiful scenery. We're gonna wait for the rest of the LEC, if maybe the moms will also come down and have a drink so we can have a potential size comparison between all of them. But in the meantime, let's see what bird Taylor's made friends with.
It's one of my favorite birds, and well, you know what, I say this about every bird, but I love them all just as much. But we're sitting with a female double-banded sandgrouse, and how cool is that? We've been seeing the males every now and then, and we don't often get to see the girls, and this one is sitting right next to the car. As we drove around Impala Plains Road, it actually flew up just from the side of the road. That's the only way that we spotted her. And then she very, very kindly sat back down on the grass. So if this is a new bird for you, it's a double-banded sandgrouse. This is the female. Let us know what number you're on. Hashtag Safari Live, of course, with that information. But beautiful camouflage, very similar camouflage to that of a spotted thickney. You can see very mottled in color. Now, there's two types of sandgrouse that we can see, the Namaquas sandgrouse and then also the double-banded sandgrouse. And to be honest, they're very, very difficult to tell the difference apart, and especially with the females because they look so similar. But one of the things that I do in order to tell the difference, and it's actually one of the few ways that I know with the females, because they look almost exactly the same, is that yellow orbital ring. Well, it's not really even an orbital ring, it's sort of just yellow skin around its eye. See that? Now that's very, very typical of the double-banded sandgrouse. The male has exactly the same thing, whereas the Namaquas sandgrouse, they don't have that. The skin color around the eyes is sort of a more neutral tone. So that's an easy way. And then, of course, the males have got the bands just above on top of their heads, sort of between that and their beak. But, of course, the girls, very, very nice camouflage. Now, she's probably not moving because she thinks we can't see her. I think she's doing the freeze technique at the moment, and that's fine. If I had good camouflage like that, I think that that's all I would do all the time. But I'm sure if I got out the car, she would realize that she's been spotted and probably fly away from us. But how beautiful is she? And I hope you're getting some good screenshots too. Like I said, you don't often get to see a little bird like this. Oh, we've got some lists coming through. Oh, and for Carter, who is only 12 years old, has just started a bird list. And you've said that this is No, did you say this is number 12 for this? I don't know why I thought I heard number 1. No, I think you're right. You said 12. Oh, it is number one. Number one, who's 12 years old. There we go. My mind mixed all the numbers up. So, Carter, that's good to see that you finally started a bird list, and a special bird you have as your number one too. So, well done to you. I might be able to even show you another special one. I can just hear it calling in the distance. Let's see if you can hear it. Can you hear it, Seb? Very, very faint, but going... I'm not even going to do the call because I'm going to say it out loud if I have to try and say it. But that was a Coqui Franklin. Coqui, 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 Coqui. Just shouting out, doing one last call because the sun has now disappeared completely. But I just want to show you how a camouflage completely disappears. So watch as Sebastian zooms out. Look at that. Gone. She's obviously in the center of the screen, but when you do that, when she's sitting next to me, completely disappeared. Look at that. So this time of the year she blends in very well. In summer she would have matched the vegetation too, but well, not necessarily in color, but the very thick green grass would have hid her. Oh, I'm so sorry. Apparently I disappeared for just a moment. The gremlins, the nasty gremlins, how dare they? I'm going to have to get my anti-gremlin spray out. Sorry about that. I don't know what you might have missed. I was just sort of touching on their camouflage for a second. We were just looking as to how she actually disappears in the vegetation. But you can see that quite clearly. The lovely golden yellows and bronzes of the grass definitely help her camouflage. But I don't think we're going to bother her for too much longer. Thank you very much, little girl, for keeping so still. We'll have one last look at her in case you didn't manage to grab a screenshot. And maybe we'll try and search for those Coqui Franklins that are shouting in the distance. Perhaps we'll do a little bit of birding now. They're all just starting to do their final calls. But wonderful, don't you think? So cool. You can actually see now how close we were there. She's just starting to move. It's okay, girl, we're going to leave you. Right, we're going to leave Mrs. Sandgrouse alone. I'm going to send you back to Treehouse Dam, Alley, and all the elephants.
Up, pushing each other around. And every now and again you can hear their ivory clashing from their tusks. Steph, you're wondering if elephants have enemies that they should be afraid of. Well, in the natural world, not too many things are going to mess with an elephant. In certain parts of Africa, there are certain prides of lions that have become quite successful at hunting younger and smaller elephants or injured elephants. But other than that, I would say that the biggest threat to elephants are actually us, humans. In many areas, many parts of Africa, and since roughly the 1980s, there's been a trend where people just want ivory, people just want their tusks. So they've been slaughtered all throughout the continent just to make things out of ivory. A lot of terrorist groups, is believed also, they use the ivory as currency. So they'll go into national parks of areas that are not well protected or countries that have a lot of political problems, and they'll go and kill entire herds just for the tiny bit of ivory that they can use, and they'll almost use it as gold. So they'll bury the ivory and they'll only start using it later on once the ivory prices have gone up. So I think it's one of those examples where unfortunately us humans, we are part of the cure and part of the problem. But there are many efforts that are being done to prevent this from happening. Sorry, I just wonder what he's doing, because I don't know if he's scratching himself or if he's giving up, or if it just felt like a bit more of a game and just being pushed down the slide. Ricky, sometimes it's play, sometimes it's dominance, depending on their size. In this particular case, I think it's more play than anything else, because there's not really a dominance or a hierarchy that they will fall into. Obviously, the older siblings will bully the younger ones, and so down the line. But it's good practice for when they become older and then they start fighting and pushing each other as a way of just marking who they are in the particular hierarchy of a certain area. So obviously, the higher you rank, the better access you will have to females that might be coming into estrus or into heat and they are potentially wanting to mate. Well, in case you were wondering, I think maybe this guy just needed a bit of a timeout. Who knows, maybe they are a bit tired of all the fighting that they've been doing up and down. They have been going on for quite a long time. So I wonder if maybe they also need a bit of a rest. With a good last 45 minutes, I would say. Hey, Craig? About 45 minutes that they've been pushing each other around. So it's not easy. It takes a lot of effort. Imagine having to push another small car that's about 100 to 200 kilograms up and down. Not easy. What are you doing? Alright, well, I think maybe you've eaten too much. And that's pretty much all I've got to say about it. What a beautiful scenery, isn't it? All of the ellies all around us. We're quite enjoying the view. We're going to stay with them for a few more minutes, see what else they get up to. But let's go over to Taylor and see how her animal search has been going on.
Ali, it seems like you're having an absolute ball with those elephants this afternoon. I'm glad that they're putting on a show for you. We were lucky we got our elephant fix early this morning on the sunrise safari. So now what we've done, just to keep you up to date, is we've looped around on Impala Plains Road and now we're on Triple M. I just thought that we would come through here and just do a quick check to see if there are perhaps any lions or leopards moving about. But I do have one update for you. It was earlier when I was looking for buffalo. Not that long ago, maybe about half an hour ago. But I found fresh male leopard tracks on Hippo Pools Road. And they looked like that. Well, they were over the top of the tracks, the tire tracks from this morning's safari. So guess who was very sneakily laying, probably in a thicket somewhere, hiding away from all of us? Mr. Tingana had obviously stopped for a rest, because I did have his tracks on after Ali left him. She said she left him going into Tamboti Dam. So he obviously did a loop and then came back onto Mvubu Road, and his route from there is normally straight down Central and then sort of towards Inyala Road north and probably cut through, and we've had him at Gwaripan before in the morning, so I think he obviously rested there and then he got moving a little bit earlier today. Like I said, it hasn't been the hottest day. It's actually been quite a chilly afternoon, and I then called Mike in and I told him exactly where the tracks are. I said that they're very fresh, he might still catch him on the road, and he was in Torchwood probably about 1 kilometer or so, so they did manage to find him, and he's on the move again and taking them all through some very, very, very thick vegetation. So as he normally does, he never wants to always walk the easiest route. So hopefully tomorrow morning he does his little loop this evening in Torchwood and then comes back south. So we'll go and check around Chitwa Dam first thing in the morning, maybe even just Cheetah Cutline, Gowrie, Main, those sections, to see if we can pick up on his tracks. He doesn't normally stay in Torchwood for too long unless he makes a kill. Then of course, depending on the size of the prey that he takes down, he'll probably be hanging around in there, but let's hope not. Let's hope he keeps on moving. We'll check Sydney's dam too, just have a quick look around there. And maybe we have a big herd of buffalo coming down from the Manuleti, coming for a drink. Maybe there'll be lions sitting, waiting. But it sounds like you've had a very exciting drive already with lions in the Mara with Brent. Obviously the unsuspecting warthog making its approach. I'm not sure what the outcome of that was. But either way, a very, very exciting thing to watch. And then of course all the lovely elephants with Ali. It really is quite nice. I think my highlight so far has to be that beautiful sand grass. It was great. Oh. Let's look at this roller that's just down. No, and it's just flown. Now, Tula Ann, who is only 4 years old. I'm sure your mom must have helped you out to type this message. Otherwise, you're a very talented 4-year-old to be on Twitter. And your question is this evening, can elephants have blue eyes like me? They most certainly can. When I was working down at Sabi Sabi, so not too far from here, and just in the southern sands, it's right near the Paul Kruger Gate, there was an elephant that was moving around that had blue eyes, but didn't show any signs of any other pigmentation at all. Normally, when you get animals with pale eyes like that, it's normally associated with albinism, I suppose, albinism. But he didn't have anything else. He just had two beautiful blue eyes. He was quite lovely. I got to see him once, very briefly, and then the herd sort of moved out of the area. So yeah, it is possible, I suppose, but it's not very common. Sometimes you see leopards that have actually got beautiful blue eyes, and in fact, when a leopard cub is only, say, a couple of days old, once it has opened up its eyes, it's so gorgeous, Tula Ann, you would love it. They've got the most beautiful ice blue eyes, but that color normally changes. But we saw Tamba, who is the son of Tundi, which is Karula's daughter, and he's got lovely eyes. He's sort of got pale greenish blue eyes, and I think they're going to stay that color forever. So he makes for the most beautiful pictures. So Tula Ann, I have a question for you. You have to let me know. Do you also have blonde hair like me and a long ponytail, and you swish it around like that? Because that's what I do, and I think that's what all girls with blue eyes and blonde hair do. But anyways, what we're going to do now is we've just come around to Gowrie Gate. There are a few gremlins about, especially when we go to Sydney's Dam. But let's go across to Brent now, and I think he's just going to be with you for one last time.
Well, welcome back to about to be very wet Mara. It's actually raining where we were with those mating lions already, but the real rain that's coming that we've got to worry about is coming straight down the Olololo escarpment, and that is thick and furious. Now, of course, we had the little game about how many M's could you use with the Masai Mara and marvelous words, and there were so many fantastic ones, but Jamie and I decided Jeanette McKinnon has won, and it's just because it just rolls so nicely off the tongue. It is, what is it? Moist, muddy, murderous Mara. So well done to Jeanette, that was fantastic. And guys, please, I think we should play this game again maybe tomorrow. It's been great. We'll think up a new one, but we got to avoid that rain. Dave doesn't want to get his hairdo wet. He's very particular about his lovely, glorious, long, lion-like locks. So we are going to get moving, and actually you can actually see it move. It's actually coming quite quickly, so it's probably traveling about 100 meters every couple of minutes. So we're going to dash for the FC, who's got its first layer of paint, and it's obviously not going to be white. That is the undercoat. Here it is, nearly done. Kirsten will be happy when that is done, and you can see the studio window. Okay, well, we're going to give you one last look at that glorious rainstorm that's approaching, and then we're going to say bye from the marvelous, magical, mysterious, mercurical Masai Mara.
We have managed to find the last members of this herd of elephants. It seems like they are quite at a distance from each other, and this tiny one definitely caught our attention. He's been going underneath the mom quite a few times. I think it's quite hungry, but mom won't give it any food just yet. I don't think it's too impressed with the fact that she is refusing, but she's also gotta eat. You see this tiny little one just trailing her. Again, tiny little baby. The grass is still longer than it. That is very sweet. It's always quite amazing just how much an elephant herd can spread. I mean, we are about 100 meters where we were from with the rest of the herd, and I thought maybe that was it. And then we carried on driving, and then we bumped into another young male, and then another one, and then now we've bumped into this female and the youngster. Seems like everyone's kind of taking it easy. They probably think it's quite a safe place to eat, and why not? Very likely all the grass is quite yummy and the branches and everything else. So I don't think there's any rush. Imagine if you had all the time in the world and you can just do everything you want at the time you wanted it and just as slowly as you wanted it to. I don't know if I could live with so much peace. I'm quite a hyper person, so I don't know if I'll be able to chill all that much. But I think these Ellies are quite enjoying everything. I think it's getting a bit dark and I don't want to bother her with her tiny youngster. So we're going to carry on moving along. See what else we can find on our way. Hopefully some nocturnal creatures in the next little while starting to pop and come up and about. I think Taylor and I had a chameleon challenge going, but it was kind of called off because obviously our wonderful last minute leopard Tingana came around. And I much prefer my odds having Craig on my team because he is a chameleon spotter. So maybe we'll get lucky tonight. We're thinking maybe we're gonna, now that we've got the infrared on, also why not, let's try through the hyena den that is not too far from here. Maybe we'll get lucky and we'll be able to have another glimpse of the tiny youngster that we've only managed to see once, or I've only managed to see once, but that we've been trying to see. I think it's funny, yesterday going home I bumped into two hyenas. One of them was actually pretty much inside of the house, and then this morning Taylor went and checked there and nothing. So I wonder if they stay up and partying or looking for food until way too late, or actually, you know, they'll just go for a little while and then come back and then they go all the way. It's quite interesting now with all this new technology that we are actually fortunate enough to start using now, to see what their movements are going to be during the darkness. So I think not too much has been done in that time of the night when the animals are more active. So I'm sure that's going to be quite interesting to be able to find out. I think this is not a road. I am losing my bearings here. But the temperature has definitely gone down. We normally have this very sudden changes, and the wind picks up when we have a cold front coming. So in the winter time in South Africa, we get almost like cold snippets of weather that will last for a few days, and it's because of very cold weather that comes all the way from the North Pole. So it starts pushing all the way from there all across the ocean, and then it hits roughly the coast of Cape Town first, and then carries on coming all the way up here. So right before it hit us, it's a bit of an overcast weather. The temperature is a lot warmer. We feel a lot better, and you know, we enjoy the weather for a few days, and as it starts going, then there's a very sudden drop in the temperature, and we will very likely be freezing in the next few days. And well, of course, I think today is the last bit because we've had a lot of wind this afternoon, so I wouldn't be surprised if maybe tomorrow or the day after tomorrow you'll see us wearing many or as many blankets as we can find. But until then, we shall carry on enjoying the fact that it's not too cold yet. And I mean, this is just the beginning of winter, so can you imagine what it's going to be in a few months' time? I mean, July and August are the coldest months that we've got, so I'm a bit concerned because I'm already putting on too many layers. I wonder, and I don't know what your theory is, maybe somebody that lives in a very cold country will be able to help me out. So if you've got any suggestions, do send them using the hashtag Safari Live. Should I wait until I'm freezing to put a lot of clothes on just to try and build my cold temperature up? Or should I just wear as many as possible from the beginning so that I don't get cold and don't have to warm my body up? I've tried them both and they have been both equally as painful. Woo. A bit of jumping around. Craig is still there. We are surviving. And we are not too far. So fingers crossed, all the positive thinking in the world that we're going to have one of the youngsters up or out here with us. I suppose we won't be able to find out until we get there, but I'm building it up in my head because I really want to see them. So, fingers crossed. Nick, you're wondering why if it gets this cold it doesn't snow. Well, we are not in the right area just yet, and in some areas like in Johannesburg and sometimes in Johannesburg and Cape Town it does snow from time to time where it's higher up. But can you imagine if we had snow here? I reckon it would be horrible for all of us. We do get frost in the morning sometimes, so you'll see very beautiful like sparkles all around, and the leaves are yes, there I can see one already, and I can hear a youngster. What is going on? Alright, so we've got a hyena. If I manage to drive like a normal human being, we've got a hyena that's walking around there, and there was a strange noise coming from the den, so I wonder if it was actually the youngster starting to look for the mother. Right, I think maybe let's just be patient around here for a few minutes. Maybe the hyena that we saw will come around. It seemed like it was heading this way. And it was definitely sound. You heard it too. Hey, Craig, that little noise. So I think the noise was actually coming from inside of the den. Let's see. I wonder, are you gonna come back? There's a range of possibilities. Maybe it didn't seem like a fully grown hyena, the one that was around here. I can still see it moving through the bushes, but it's a very tough spot, so I think it's better if we just wait around here. Maybe it'll come closer to the den. It's just in between there. I only managed to pick the movement every now and again when it starts moving the ears. So let's just give it a moment or two while it comes around here, because I'm just trying to see underneath the branches of the tree. Have you laid down there? What you doing? Yeah, I'm gonna drive around and see what's happening. I thought that maybe it was gonna come onto the den, because it seemed like that's what it wanted to do, but maybe not. If the mountain won't come to us, then we will go to the mountain. Let's see, are you still around here? Yes! Wonderful. I'm just gonna park a bit at a distance from them. Hello? Hello, you. Nice to meet you. I haven't seen you before. So this is probably where the noise was coming from this youngster over here. Oh. Do you want some milk? Yep, it's definitely feeding time. Come on, Mom. I don't think she seems too bothered by it. I think he's quite desperate to eat. He's making quite a lot of noise. He's just pressing there, just trying to get some of the milk to come more quickly. Again, if you guys do manage to identify this beautiful hyena with this youngster and let us know which one it is, I would be very, very thankful, as I'm new to all the hyenas around Djuma, and I would like to get to know pretty much all of them. And I wonder if this is one of the ones that I saw by our house yesterday. Yep. Being such a good mom. Sleeping. Oh, you can hear him again. I think maybe somebody was very hungry, because he's definitely kicking and trying to get as much milk as possible. You see, she's always wonders. Sometimes they fall asleep or they start suckling, so it wouldn't be rare to see that, but the mom keeps putting the head up and then she puts it back down again. So even if she's in quite a sleepy state, she's got to see. I'm sorry, I just think there's something else behind us, but I might have been wrong to where she was looking. Crystal, you say that this is Missy, I'm sorry if I misheard you, and the mystery cub. I like it when there's a bit of a mystery. Pretty, sorry Crystal, I didn't hear properly, so this is Pretty and the mystery cub. Well, she isn't it a very pretty hyena? Her ears are quite nice. They're not really tattered like some of the other hyenas, and she definitely seems to be in quite good condition from what I can see, you know, with my color eyes in the darkness. Oh. Claire, you're wondering how long hyena cubs suckle for? Well, it takes them a few months to be weaned off the milk, so around about 4 to 5 months normally. But at a time, they can sometimes suckle for a bit longer than that. I think for the next maybe 10-15 minutes, this hyena is going to happily be suckling from the mother, especially if she hasn't been around the whole day. Then likely this youngster is very, very hungry, so it just wants to be able to get as much as it can. Okay, we're gonna switch into infrared now so that we can have a bit of a better look at them. There we go. So although it looks very bright, this is a light they cannot see, so we're not disturbing them in any way. It's just to enhance the way we see them. While we enjoy this pretty view and see what else they get up to, or if perhaps there's somebody else that comes and joins the nursery, let's go to Taylor, who's in search of more creatures of the night.
I am indeed in search of creatures of the night, and you may have noticed I changed my hairstyle slightly. It's a bit of a bird's nest at the moment. However, oh, you want to have a look? I did this for dear Tula Ann, who is only 4 years old, and she sent the most lovely comment in after I asked her if she shakes her ponytail around like I do, because I said all blonde-haired and blue-eyed girls do that, and she said no, because her mom makes her wear her hair in pigtails, but she'd like to have a long ponytail like I did. So, Tula Ann, I tried to do pigtails, but my hair was very knotty as I took it out of my ponytail, and Senzor and Sebastian had a good laugh as I got my hair elastic. It lost, it just disappeared, all three of them at one point, and we thought we were going to have to cut them out. So I did Princess Leia style from Star Wars. I just did two little things on the side of my head, and they're supposed to be little pigtails. So there we go. I will of course change my hairstyle because this is not very neat, and I'm sure everybody's cringing in Final Control going, get that girl a hairbrush, because that's exactly what I need. And if I could create one right now from some plants, I totally would. But don't worry, Tula Ann, I will try and make pigtails. I don't know how I'm going to get it to work with my hat, but I'll make proper, when I wash my hair, the next day I'll make nice long pigtails, and we can be matching, so you don't have to worry about having a ponytail. I'll do a special pigtail drive just for you. Now we are looking for creatures of the night, as Ali mentioned earlier. We're just searching around here, and there's a very, very friendly civet that frequents this area. I haven't seen its tracks just yet, so I think we could probably go up Gallagher shortcut and maybe have a look around there, go and check Gallagher Pan, and then we'll come back and on to quarantine. Because yesterday evening I was telling you how Senzo and I were chasing after a white-tailed mongoose. So I wonder if that white-tailed mongoose wants to be chased after again, and hopefully we'll be able to put it on screen this time for you. It outsmarted us, but it can't outsmart us 2 nights in a row. So that is our plan for this evening. And I'm also listening on the Game Drive radio to make sure that as soon as we hear Tingana is starting to turn south, and if he is coming close to the boundary, then we'll start making our way back that side, of course. But Ali, as you saw earlier, is sitting with the hyenas, and she's still at the den, and that little one has come out to say hello.
Well, I think the little one is pretty comfortable, but there's another one that we're looking at in the far left corner of the screen, and that is another hyena that is sleeping in a very interesting fashion. It's been here all along since we've been around. Also, if you guys have any idea as to whom this one might be, then please do send the comments using the hashtag #SafariLive, because I'm a bit puzzled about this other one. Oh, hello. Are you smiling for everyone? I wonder if Pretty and this other hyena have been up and going the whole day, and now that they've decided to be a bit more tired, or now that they've come back, they're just gonna sleep through most part of the night and then just go moving around during the night. We don't hear them as much as I'd like to, and I think whooping hyenas is one of those fantastic calls that we hear during the night, and they are definitely wonderful. Hello. I'm sure with her big ears she can hear something in the distance, because she keeps putting her head down and then putting it back up. Maggie, you'd like to know how many cubs at this den, because you're so confused. Well, I'm sure people will be able to help us out, and just as too many there are, but in this last few days that I've been here, I have just seen this cub that we're looking at and a much younger back, and I think there was a bit of a debate if it was ribbon or scarback, the one that was the mother for that tiny little one. I think general consensus pointed it toward being scarback's cub, if I'm not mistaken, and those are the only two that I've seen. Could be that there are a few more and they only come out when their mothers come around and call them out. But I suppose I'll have to just carry on coming and seeing them for myself, and just to be able to believe that all of them are real. I wonder what she can hear. HA, I do think it's a community den for the clan, or maybe it's just become that, because we've seen two different cubs from two different mothers of two different ages in this last week. So I'm pretty sure that they're keeping them together now, which is a lot. Or if they, it's safer for them, they all come into the same area, and as the cubs get older, then they have playmates to keep them entertained, because little hyena cubs are very curious creatures, and they're always moving around and chewing things and just going up and down. So I think it's a lot easier for the mothers just to have them all together, so that they start wearing each other off and not them so much. I think there's another hyena somewhere around here. I can hear something in the grass, which I'm sure it's the same what Pretty can hear. Reggie, you'd like to know if they hunt during the day or during the night? Sorry, there's just a noise around here, and it's clearly what's making them put their heads up and down. But I can't really see anything around here, so I wonder what it is. Sorry, Reggie, going back to your question, you want to know if they hunt during the day or during the night. I have seen them hunt both during the day and during the night. Like most of the predators, they are opportunistic animals, so whenever they have a fair chance of hunting something down, then they'll be able to do it. They do seem to move around more during the night, again just because the temperatures are lower and they don't have to worry about overheating with the sun, and they have a bit of an advantage with the diurnal animals that they can't see very well during the night. But having said that, I have seen them hunt pretty much at any time of the day. And last year during the drought, I was actually based at Simbambili, and we had so many hyenas hunting buffalo during the day that it was pretty incredible what they got up to. So again, I don't think there's a set rule for them. It's also, it depends on the area, the conditions that they're in. But wherever there's a chance, I reckon that's the time where they're going to be hunting. Let's see, are they still busy? Yeah, pretty picture. Stevie, you'd like to know at what age the cub starts hunting with the pack. Well, normally I would say when they're about a year old, that's if hyenas do hunt together, that's when you can find them. But when they're about maybe 9 months old to a year, then they start scavenging around or scouting the area, moving around during the night. But in this particular area that we're in, we don't really see them hunting together all that much. A lot of the times what will happen, or which is a valid rule for most hyenas, is that they will go in small groups and they'll start foraging or looking for food in small groups, maybe 1 or 2 of them together. And if they do manage to come across something that's quite big, then that's where they start whooping and maybe trying to call the rest of the clan to come around. Because a lot of the times, even when we've seen them stealing leopard kills, maybe 1 or 2 hyenas at most, even if they're part of a much bigger clan. So I think they also, in a very clever way, they assess their own situation and just figure out, am I going to need the backup of the rest of the clan? Can I eat all of these food sources by myself? Do I need help? Don't I? So I think they're very clever at problem solving and gauging their expectations and what they've got to do. But I think this youngster still has a bit of a while, and the black one that we saw in the den the other day is still far too young to even try and venture outside of the den by itself. I think we will have both mother and cub falling asleep to this. Hopefully whatever it is that is bothering her will reveal itself. I'm hoping for another hyena coming back. While we sit and wait to see if we can spot another hyena in the dark, let's go back to Taylor, who's hunting for more creatures of the night.
Firstly, what I have done is put my hair back the way it was, which again was another nightmare. Almost had to threaten to cut my hair elastic out. Very naughty. First thing I'll be doing is brushing it when I get back. But we're searching for chameleons, and I think I'm going to sing a chameleon song. So, gentlemen at the back, please feel free to join in, because I think we need some help to get them out. Now, it's going to start off like a song that you all know, but obviously the lyrics are going to change. I don't know what the lyrics are going to be yet, so we'll just go with it. So, you ready? Come a chameleon, won't you please come out so we can see you? You have got very good camouflage, but I'm gonna spot you with my spotlight. There you go, that's my chameleon song. Where was the background music, guys? Hey, I was waiting for the beat to drop or the bass to come in. Everyone just sat very quietly at the back. We'll have to teach Sebastian and Senzo how to beatbox, because David's obviously in Kenya, and Brian, our dear beatboxing king, is also not around anymore. And who else likes to beatbox? Craig likes to beatbox, but he's got to work on it a little bit better. So perhaps we'll get Craig to start practicing a little bit more often, and then we'll start doing some more raps and random little singing songs. But let's see if the song actually worked. I'm doing another loop around the most southern end of quarantine now. There's a little bird flying about. We'll see if it decides to land. No one's going to land. It's going to land in the long grass where we can't see it. Typical. Right, I'm going to check around here. You know what actually I'd like to see? I would like to see a little pouched mouse. That's my request for this evening. There's a pouched mouse, perhaps just running across the road and then stopping, maybe digging out a marula seed that it is buried underneath the ground. I think that could be something quite interesting and a little bit different to see. Who have we got here? Probably impala. I don't want to blind you. Yes, it's impala. Now, Jenny, you've requested bush babies this evening. I actually said to Senzo and Sebastian a moment ago, I was like, maybe we're going to see bush babies. But we're not going to see bush babies right now, because I've actually spotted a nightjar just in the middle of the road. I don't want to put my big spotlight on it. I've just got my LED bar on, but it's quite far away. Now, which one is that? It's got its head. No, it was the fiery-necked nightjar. I don't know if you saw that. Just as it turned its head and looked away, it exposed that rufous colouring on the back of its neck. And Carter, you've said that you wanted more birds, so that must be bird number 2 for you, unless you've seen some more with Ali and Brent, because we got number 1, which was the female double-banded sandgrouse. So there we go, there's another one for you, Carter. I'm so happy that you have started this. So let's see if we can find a bronze-wing courser for you, because they're also nice birds, and they'll be out at this time of the evening. Maybe even some spotted thick-knees, an owl. How great would it be to see an owl, hey Carter? It would be a really good one to add to the list. Let's just check on the sickle bush if there is anything. Well heard, Sebastian. There's an impala shouting. Let's go back. They're right behind us too. What did we miss? I need to turn around though, but I don't want to get another puncture. So let me do this.
I don't think that's running, eh?
No, I can see them. They're alarming behind us. Those ones we've just passed. Let me just turn quickly. Okay, they're the impala. I don't know what they're alarming at. We've just come from here. It could be a hyena darting through the grass. Impala will alarm at hyenas. Let's see, here they are. And now? What you doing? Where are you shouting at? Well, it's a bit difficult to see. You can just have a look at them. They're confused. They're all looking opposite directions and snorting. Whoa. Do you see how they did those big leaps like that? No, that is an evasion tactic. What impala will do is leap like that and try and get away from their prey. I don't know what's got them all riled up. There's a couple more alarming in the middle. Let's just go back. Let's go back the way we came and just triple check here. There's a one impala, but it put its head down. It doesn't look too scared, so I'll just check here. Like I said, we've just driven here. It is completely possible that something could just pop out of the bushes just behind our car. It's very thick along the southern end of the road. Just go around, and then it opens up quite nicely. Oh, why are they running? Are they chasing each other? I think it was 2 rams now chasing each other. Yes. Let's stop here and listen again. It's gone very quiet. We will keep looking, but those impala rams that we had just a moment ago came darting again just off to the right, and then they were chasing. One was chasing the other. It was quite clear, and then they ran all the way around like that and did a big loop. So maybe let's go back. Let's try take the center road of Quarantine and see if we can see anything, because there's most certainly nothing here. Now, at times like this in the evening, it isn't uncommon for animals to be a little bit more nervous, a bit more cautious than what they normally would be, and it's a rather good tactic, I think. Wait, who is that? Bush baby, bush baby, bush baby, bush baby. No, I lied. Bird. I thought that bird had hopped out of the grass and onto the stick. It looked like it was maybe a bush baby, but it wasn't. I think it was just the same fiery neck nightjar. We're going to quickly do a quick scan on Quarantine to see what has startled these impala, if anything. Ali's still at the hyena den, of course. Let's go see what those beautiful carnivores are up to now.
Beautiful carnivores are having their beauty sleep. They're actually, wondering, as you do when you are underneath the stars and just looking at wildlife, how interesting their life is. And you try to compare it to humans, and you think about it like, would we ever feel confident coming onto anywhere in the bush and just sleeping like this in plain sight and not worrying too much? Just trusting that our instincts are going to let us know if there's something around that we should care about. Probably not. I think Craig made a fair comment when he said that we probably overthink too much, and we as humans might not be able to do it. What do you guys think? I think that That is probably a good call. I don't know if I would ever feel confident just sleeping in a patch of grass that's quite open in the middle of the bush as a human. I reckon I would worry too much that anything around me might be an elephant, a leopard, a lion, a hyena, or pretty much just anything. I think they are quite blessed in not having to worry about those things or not having the same concerns as us. Are you still sleeping? All right. So Crystal has sent us a comment enlightening us about what the dynamic of this hyena den is like. So we've got 3 females, Pretty, Ribbon, and Scarback, that currently have their cubs around here. So this one then, if the other one's Pretty, this is either Scarback or Ribbon, and Scarback is the mother of the youngest one of them all. So it would seem like we've got 3 females that currently have their little ones around here. Crystal, seeing you're so helpful, do you know which one of them perhaps is the dominant female? Because hyenas, just like elephants, they live in a matriarchal society where in the hyenas especially, it's quite tough, where all of the hyenas, even the lower ranked hyenas, would still have a higher rank than even the highest ranking male. Now I know that sounds a bit tricky, but it's pretty much basic to say that all the females have more power than the males, let's put it that way. And normally they tend to be bigger too. So it's a bit of a reverse in regards with some of the other species that we get in the area. Normally the hyenas, the females are bigger and more powerful than the males. The males tend to be a bit more submissive and not as big. I think it's quite a lovely evening. Definitely not the way I saw my evening ending, but quite happy that this was the way that it played out. Trisha, you'd like to know if hyenas whoop to communicate with other hyenas. Yes, they do. They have a quite a varied range of calls and noises that they make to communicate with one another, but the whooping is probably the most iconic one of them all. But what is quite interesting is that when they whoop or when they start calling each other, they can actually recognize which specific individual is calling. So inside of a clan, they will all know. For example, if Scarback starts calling, then Ribbon and Pretty will know that it's Scarback that's calling. And what type of message she's conveying. Is she just advertising, the presence in the territory? Did she find something nice to eat? Is she asking for them to come around? And so on and so on. So I wonder if the animals hear us the same way, and they wonder, or we all sound the same to them. But they have ways of communicating that are sometimes a bit too complex for us to understand, but they can definitely know what's happening and who's around and what they're saying to each other. So I'm really hoping that we're gonna hear them whooping tonight. They were making a few noises when we arrived today, and that's why we thought that they was around. But alas, they have all decided to have a bit of a sleep, and I think it's time for us to go to sleep too. But we'll see you guys tomorrow morning on the sunrise safari. Please remember that our drive will start at the same time, but we're going to be ending 45 minutes early tomorrow morning. Isn't this the most peaceful view of them all? Yawning. Yes, I think I'm going to start doing that too as we start heading back home. But I'm gonna shut up now and just let us enjoy the quiet of this very peaceful motherly scene. Good night, everyone. We'll see you tomorrow morning.